What is up, YouTube? I'm Galdite74 here, bringing you guys week 9 of the PCP. This week we are taking on Iron, coach of the Murcia Murkrows, not Murcia, keep saying that. We are going into this game with a 7-1 record, while my opponent is going into this game with a 2-6 record. Now, to recap for you guys, last week we did pick up our first L of the season against Shay, in a pretty fun matchup overall and pretty evenly balanced. We just ended up on the losing side in the end. But hopefully this week we can bounce back and pick up a W. Sorry if I sound a little bit quiet. Everybody in my house is asleep and I don't want to disturb them. And before I begin, this is going to be the final game on the channel that has still Gen 8 sprites, because the following game will have Gen 8 sprites that move around because Showdown added them. They look really nice. I'm excited to bring them to the channel. I just recorded the battle portion of this before they did that, and I don't feel like re-recording it. So that's why this one will be just still images of Gen 8 mons. We are still looking to clinch a bye week. I was trying to win my game last week just so I could clinch the bye week for the PCP, and yet we still have not clinched it yet because Brett won and the person under Brett won as well. So we still need to win this game or the next game in order to clinch that. Hopefully we can do it this game. I say the matchup in this game overall is pretty even. There are some things my opponent has that are very scary, and there are some things on my side that are pretty scary for him. But I'm going to go and break down the matchup and look at Iron's team. My opponent, Iron, this week has a team consisting of Mega Pidgeot, Necrozma, Tapu Bulu, Raikou, Duraludon, Vaporeon, Gligar, Venusaur, Torkoal, Piloswine, and Alola Persian. Now I expect him to consist of Mega Pidgeot, Necrozma, Raikou, Venusaur, Torkoal, and Piloswine. I personally think Sun is pretty good against me, but if he does want to bring his Sun core, he could probably bring something like the Duraludon and the Vaporeon. But if he brings Sun, those will be the two he replaces. And the only new mon he has on his team is Duraludon. I always see that not coming just because Ferrothorn hard walls that for days, and Ferrothorn is pretty good in this matchup. But things to note out about his team: Necrozma. I said it on Twitter, and Necrozma and Komodo are so scary because they can do literally anything and be good at it. In this matchup, there's a few things he could definitely do with Necrozma that's very scary. Weakness policy, Rock Polish is very scary against my team. That's something I have to be a little bit weary about. Calm Mind stored power, if Mana Buzz goes down, then that's going to be a very serious problem and very hard to kill. He could also be an annoying rocker, because rocks are sort of against my team. This particular team I'm bringing does not really like rocks, so I could see Necrozma being the rock setter there. And those are the three main things, but again, Necrozma could really do anything, and it's going to be scary. Dragon Dance now, because it gets that. So that definitely gets a mention there. Mega Pidgeot is very solid against my team. I don't have much switch-ins, and because it's so fast, I can only deal with it offensively so well. So that's something I'm going to have to keep a little bit of a note of. I do have one switch-in, but it's not like the greatest thing in the entire world. So, yep, that's going to be pretty scary. And then Piloswine gets an honorable mention. I do have some solid switch-ins to this thing, but offensively, it's not the easiest to deal with, especially because it gets Ice Shard. So I'm going to have to chip this thing down a bit before I can kill it, which shouldn't be too hard, but I'm still going to need to chip it down at some point. And that's basically the biggest threats on my opponent's team. Again, Sun can be annoying if I let Venusaur get out of hand, but if I can retain it from doing so much, then it's not that big of a deal. So, yeah, the special bulk on his side is a little bit lacking, so I am going to target that down a little bit in my prep, as I will tell you guys in a few seconds. But that is basically the rundown of my opponent's team. What I am bringing this week, it consists of Zeraora, Salazzle, Ferrothorn, Mandibuzz, Slowking, and Mega Sceptile. Okay, so first up on the team we have Zeraora. Zeraora is holding the leftovers with Calm Mind, T-Bolt, HP Ice, and Aura Sphere. We are bringing a special Zeraora. It is modest, so I get a little bit of extra damage output out. And this thing is just really good against my opponent. I know physical is usually better, but I felt like in this case special was needed just because of the little bit of extra coverage. The only thing at +1 that really deals with Zeraora is the grass types he has on his team and the Piloswine. But Aura Sphere already does like 80% the Piloswine after I get a boost, so only a little bit of chip and then I can kill it. And same with Venusaur and the Tapu Bulu. I just need a little bit of chip on them, unless it's like a bulky one, grass type. But I don't expect either of those two to be bulky if they even come, just because I have a good matchup against them overall. So once those go down or chip down, then Zeraora just claims kills against my opponent's team. Yes, I gotta watch out for like Scarfers and stuff, but I mean, once I deal with that, it's not going to be a big deal. His team really does not like Thunderbolt spam, and then the coverage moves are just really efficient for my opponent. And it deals with the Mega Pidgeot offensively, because it's like my only answer to that thing. So Zeraora plays an important role here as just setting up a Calm Mind and claiming kills. And that's basically it. And we're going to continue on with the breaking power. We have Salazzle holding the choice specs. I think this is the second time I'm bringing it this season. Almost max speed with Flamethrower, a Sludge Bomb, a Fire Blast, and a Toxic. Nothing resists both stabs on my opponent's team, so he's definitely got to start picking his switch-ins very carefully. If he switches in Duraludon into like Flamethrower, it's basically dead. If he switches in his Torkoal into a Sludge Bomb, it's going to do like 70%, and it does not want to take that. So my opponent definitely has to watch out for that. Paloswine is the only thing that can take probably 2 hits, and that's why I need to chip that thing down a bit. I did say it would be a little bit hard to deal with that offensively, and this is a perfect example. And another thing I have to watch out for is that I do not outspeed max speed Mega Pidgeot, so I cannot stay in on that thing if it wants to revenge me, and that's what makes that thing a little bit extra scary. So yeah, I basically 2-shot everything except for like max but a Vaporeon, but I don't really fear that too much because I have a Zeraora and a Ferrothorn sitting right there. So that is the Salazzle. Speaking of Ferrothorn, we're going to move into that thing. This thing is holding the leftovers with a lot of mixed bulk, but more especially defensive, with Stealth Rock, Leech Seed, Body Press, and Iron Head. Felt like I didn't really need the grass coverage this week because Leech Seed just beat Vaporeon right there. Rocks are really good against my opponent. His defoggers are Mega Pidgeot, Gligar, and he's got Spin and Torkoal, which could be a little bit annoying against Ferrothorn, but I feel like I can handle it fine. Body presses to make sure I can actually touch the Duraludon because I'm going to be switching into that thing mainly as that is my best switch into it, as well as Vaporeon and the Tapu Bulu. I do have to be a little bit careful of Banded Bulu if it's going to hold the superpower, but I do have a few other switch-ins to this thing, Bulu as well. That's why I don't really expect it to come, just because I have so many different switch-ins I could possibly do. So I don't really expect it, but I do have to be careful about it. I am invested to live a hit anyway. And then it's also a switch into Piloswine to try and chip that thing down and at least trade rocks if I don't have the time to defog. Actually, I don't even have defog on this team. But moving on to Mandibuzz is going to be the next mon. This is also mixed bulk with the boots. It doesn't have defog this week. It has Foul Play, Brave Bird, Whirlwind, and Roost. Dual Stab was really all I needed on this team. I felt like Toxic would have been nice, but Whirlwind was a little bit better just in case he is the weakness policy Necrozma. I should be taking most hits. I am a little more specially defensive, expecting more of a specially offensive-oriented Necrozma. If he's physical, that could be a little bit scary, but I'm more expecting special than anything. This is also another alternative switch into the Bulu, and just in case he might predict the superpower and all that stuff. It deals with Venusaur, my best answer to Venusaur, because the thing is pretty scary under Sun. Torkoal, basically his Sun Core, and then Persian if he decides to come, because Persian's really annoying too. And again, just the dual stab was really all I needed because Toxic doesn't like affect Gligar. Vaporeon could get Heal Bell. I'll switch out on those anyway. So that is the Mandibuzz set. Next up we have a Slowking. A Slowking is my Mega Pidgeot switch in. It is max specially defensive with the Citrus Berry, with Scald, a Psyshock, a Toxic, and a Slack Off. Regenerator, of course. Again, this is my main switch into Pidgeot. It also deals with the Gligar and Piloswine as well. But again, I said it like 3 times already. Mega Pidgeot. Citrus Berry is there to guaranteed live like 3 or 4 Hurricanes without having to click Slack Off, just because Hurricane's doing less than half every time. So I can get some free hits, or I can at least get a Toxic off on the Pidgeot, and it becomes a lot less of a threat. And nothing that usually switches into Slowking likes Toxic, and that's why I ran it in the end, because I felt like it was a nice neutral play overall. And Psyshock was for something. I don't remember exactly what it was for. I think it was Venusaur because I did a little bit more. But yeah, that is basically just the Slowking, simple as that. And then finally we have Mega Sceptile here. This is actually a physical Mega Sceptile. It's mixed, but more physical, with Leaf Blade, Earthquake, HP Ice, and Leaf Storm. I'm going to be clicking Leaf Blade most of the time. If he brings Duraludon, I might have to change up moves, but that's basically all I'm going to be clicking. HP Ice is for Gligar, because Gligar is annoying to deal with, and then handily with the set. And yeah, I felt like Lonely was fine because I wasn't going to stay in on like any physical attackers, especially Ice Shard on like Piloswine or anything, so I didn't really feel like it was a big deal. I could switch into like Scald and Vaporeon, won't do as much. Granted, I could get burned, but you know. And I just felt like Sceptile was had a nice speed tier in this matchup since he doesn't have a webs option. So that's basically going to be my team. I'm actually really excited to use this thing. I haven't really ever used Calm Mind Zeraora, but hopefully it puts in work. But we're going to head over to Pokemon Showdown, and we're going to watch the battle. Alright, we are here on Pokemon Showdown, and he did bring the Mega Pidgeot and Necrozma, but outside of those 2 threats, he did not bring anything I really expected too much. I am going to lead off with Ferrothorn because I don't expect him to lead off with one of those 2 threats, and I can get up rocks against basically anything else. So that is the game plan. His only defogger is the Gligar, at least a good one. I don't expect Pidgeot to be defog. Unfortunately, he does lead off the Mega Pidgeot, and that really sucks because this thing's one of the hardest things to switch into, as I do have Slowking as an answer, but that's kind of it. Excuse me. As he just U-turns out. I was expecting that, but I didn't want to risk the Heat Wave turn 1. As he goes out to Bulu. I could have got a Ferrothorn, but I'm going to go into Manabuzz just now because Manabuzz is only here for Necrozma, and while the health is nice, I don't expect him to click like Stone Edge or anything, as he clicks Superpower, so he was predicting the Ferrothorn, and that is banded as hell, so I'm going to keep that in mind, as I'm just going to roost off the damage and keep my Manabuzz healthy for later. He goes on Duraludon. I do have a Ferrothorn switch in every time, as he actually makes an aggressive double pretty early and goes out into Mega Pidgeot, so that was good on my opponent's part, but good thing my Slowking is still around. It's at 100 as regen. I can do this for a bit. As he does go for Heat Wave, it doesn't do much. He does burn me, which is a little bit annoying now, as you're going to see a little bit later. It's actually really freaking annoying, as he's probably just going to U-turn out, and he crits me. This crit is really big, and it's going to be big because you see him at 55%. I have a Citrus Berry, and because I got burnt, the Citrus Berry is going to proc really early, and I click Toxic here. He goes on Duraludon. I'm not sure why. I could have clicked Ice Beam there and did a lot, but I'm not sure. But I really, really did not want my Citrus Berry proccing this early because I have nothing to touch this thing and I need to switch out. And I didn't really need to be at 100%. Like, I kind of wasted health there, and I'm really not happy about that. But it's whatever. I can finally get my Ferrothorn in for free as I can get up rocks. As he goes out into Necrozma, I know this thing also gets Heat Wave, and I'm sure he's packing it. I have a Ferrothorn. So I'm going to go out into my Manabuzz, as I mentioned. It's my best switch into this thing. And take whatever hit he wants to go through as he goes for the Heat Wave, and he crits me, which, okay, this is getting a little bit annoying. This kind of sucks because if I'm going to click Foul Play here as he automizes, so he is going to be the weakness policy set, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, a Power Gem shouldn't have killed, but now because he crit me, it's going to kill probably, and I'm really annoyed by that. He is Stone Edge. I don't want to say thankfully, but that means the crit probably didn't matter. It would have made it a roll, but it was still in his favor. But that's still annoying. As Stone Edge is my Slowking, I'm just going to Toxic this thing, and I miss. And I'm like, oh my god, turn 12, and this is just insane. At this point, I'm just like, this game's over, I lost. I'm freaking pissed off. The only way I can try and beat this thing is sacking a few mons and getting a Toxic off again with my Slowking, but by that point, my team will be completely gone. So I'm going to keep my Ferrothorn. It's very important in this game. Mega Sceptile, not as much. I'm going to just go into Sceptile just to sack it so I can get my Slowking back in. As he misses a Heat Wave. That sucks because that would have killed. But you're going to see here I Mega Evolve, and he goes for Heat Wave, and it doesn't kill. And the reason this is a weird situation is because he actually clicked the wrong move. Photon Geyser kills every single time there, even if I'm not lonely, so I'm not sure why he didn't click that. But it doesn't really matter here. We kill it off without avoiding too much danger, but you know, whatever. Anyway, he sends out Duraludon, moving on from the situation. I expect this thing to be Scarf at this point because of the way he's playing it, as he's not doing specs damage or anything. As Ferrothorn is getting a little bit weakened down, so I'm going to Leech Seed here to try and get it back. As he brings out Bulu on my Ferrothorn, so I'm like, okay. I mean, Iron Head would have been a weird play there, so I can kind of understand that. But he is in a position where Superpower is definitely going to kill me because this thing is banded. So I'm going to switch out into Sceptile just to sack it. It would be really nice to have this thing around, but I don't really have a good switch into this thing. As he just clicks Wood Hammer, it kills me because this thing is stupid strong. As I could have just stayed in there, honestly, and clicked Iron Head. That would have been a really ballsy play, but it would have worked out. I can go on a Slazzle here and actually claim a kill for once, as he's going to have to pick a sack as he goes down the Gligar, takes the Rocks Chip, and I do a solid chug into this thing. I do 46%. And you're going to see here, I do kind of choke here a bit as I actually switch out instead of killing this Gligar as he just goes for the Roost. This was really bad because it would have made this game even again, 4-4. But the reason I did this is because you see my Slowking's in. I'm going to get the regen health back now, and it allows me to take a hit from the Mega Pidgeot. As to where if I kill the Gligar, he would have brought up Mega Pidgeot and just claimed the kill that way. Though I guess their Aura would have came in. It was still not a great play in my opinion, but it happens. He switches hard Mega Pidgeot back into my Ferrothorn, a common trend, but he's playing this Pidgeot very well, as I threw up rocks afterwards, so now I have to switch into the Slowking. Because I did that regen thing, I actually have health for this thing now, as I can take 2 of them. I get confused, a little bit annoying, but that was going to happen at some point. That's a little bit less shocking. As now he's going to U-turn out. It would have been nice to have the Citrus Berry here, but, you know, I got burnt. Still not happy about that. As he goes down the Raikou, as I click Slack Off, hoping to break through confusion, as I do. I knew I need the health back. And now I'm going to go for Toxic, expecting this thing to be like a calm mindset, because that's probably the best thing against my team, as he does have that. This time Slowking's not completely blind and actually hits his Toxic, so that's pretty nice. This thing is on a timer now. And now, instead of switching into Ferrothorn and doing that, I'm actually going to go out into Zeraora once, just in case he wants to click Thunderbolt and try and stall out Toxic turns. He has the great middle ground play in Shadow Ball, so that was pretty smart to go for. I'm really scared of HP Fire, because if Ferrothorn goes down, I'm pretty sure Scarf Duraludon just kind of wins. That's why I don't want to risk my Ferrothorn against this Raikou, because he could have HP Fire. As he just keeps clicking Shadow Ball, which is the correct play. As you're going to see, I did 46, but because I'm burnt, it brings me down to 45. I shouldn't live, but he does get a low roll here, which is kind of nice. It gives me an extra turn of Toxic as I slack off. But again, because of this burn, it's making it so these rolls are in his favor. If I didn't have this burn, then all these rolls would be in my favor. It might not even be a roll, but he does kill me this turn. It's not the worst in the world now because he's in range of my Salazzle Specs attack, but still, it would have been nice. Salazzle comes in, and I'm just going to claim my kill here, as Raikou is going to go down this turn to the Flamethrower. It's 4-3, but it's not looking too hot because my Mega Pidgeot Twitchins aren't that great. As I'm going to just sack the Salazzle here, because I do have sort of an endgame in my mind. It's not that great, but it's Zeraora. Zeraora beats the Mega Pidgeot here, and it beats the Duraludon, and I clicked HP Ice here because it catches the other two Mons as Gligar comes in, and that's really big because now I can beat this thing too. It's just the Bulu I need a little bit of chip on, and that's what I'm going to hope for Ferrothorn to do. As I actually double out into Ferrothorn here, and you're probably wondering why I didn't just kill this Gligar. I do this because I want Ferrothorn in on Bulu, and I want Bulu to click Superpower. Because if he's locked into Superpower, and he lets me get a little bit of damage off on him, then Zeraora just beats everything on his team. As Gligar just comes back out on the Duraludon switch and whatever, he doesn't actually die, which is really unfortunate. I really hope this Gligar would have died, but it didn't. As now he can Earthquake and get some chip. That guaranteed makes it that Superpower is going to kill every time. So that was the smart play on Iron's part. But this is a situation I did want, as if he brings in Bulu or Pidgeot, it's really good, as he does. And I'm just going to click Iron Head just in case he doesn't click Superpower for whatever reason. But he does. And I'm going to bring in Zeraora and click HP Ice twice. If he lets me hit this thing with HP Ice, I should win the game because Superpower never kills me. And T-Bolt kills Pidgeot, and R-Sphere kills the Duraludon. So that's basically all I need to do. As I go for HP Ice, I get the lowest roll possible, so it actually makes it a roll for the next time. And he crits me, and the game's over. Yeah, that's how the game ends after this entire game. I've been talking, I got crit, and we are going to lose 3-0 to Iron. GG Iron. It would be a complete lie if I said I wasn't a little bit salty rewatching this game. There was a lot of hacks overall, but I definitely think the hacks was much worse for me, and the way it affected me was just pretty bad overall. But I do like to look at things from a different perspective. Obviously at the time I didn't, but now I'm looking at it from a different perspective. After the battle, I learned that was an Assault Vest Duraludon, so it does live the R-Sphere every single time. Granted, the chance to get a crit would have been a little bit nice, but you know, the Pokemon is Pokemon sometimes. I didn't play that great overall. I did mess around with the Gligar a bit too much. I did put myself in a pretty good position overall. I think I played the late game pretty decently, but again, you know how the game is sometimes. But I do think Iron played extremely well with the Mega Pidgeot particularly. So big props to Iron for that. And once again, GG Iron. Thank you for the game, even though it wasn't the greatest one I've ever had. But we are going to move to a 7-2 record. We still haven't clinched a playoff spot, which really sucks. And we only have one more week left, and unfortunately we face Calpat next week, which is A, the former champion, and B, a really good battler, and C, he has Galarian Darmanitan, one of the most busted mons in draft. So we have to go up against all that next week. I'm excited, but I just want to win a game, and it's not going to be easy against Calpat. But that's going to be next week's video. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.